we wanted to work out the procedures and how this working group would act differently to the previous working group, because we felt it could have been improved on. Again, I mentioned inside whether it was picked up or not. I wasn't blaming any individual inside in the group. That would be unfair. I did have good contact with the last chairman. I didn't see the results, what we would like to have seen coming out of that, but that would be seen as griping on my behalf if, I walked away from this group. We had a meeting with our directors. I did explain to them that if this procedure and the policies of this working group followed the same lines as the last one, I didn't see any merit in continuing with it. I didn't think we'd succeed with anything out of it. We did listen to the chairman, and the chairman said that he would give everybody a fair chance to speak. He would take on board everything else, and I explained to him that it wasn't that it wasn't the opportunities to speak the last time. It was the way that it was structured. So in other words, we were getting 4 or 5 different submissions 2 days or a day before we were to meet, and that meant that we didn't have time to go through the documents and stuff like that. And my suggestion and my request to my fellow colleagues and to the minister was to avoid that by putting a working group together with the steering committee, even if it was a group within a group, that would draft the necessary paperwork, that would have the time and the expertise, that we wouldn't be doubling up on work or confusing with work, and we'd be all working on the same way because of the time constraints. So what the chairman has advised was that we would set up a group, the industry ourselves would work together, and that instead of having separate submissions, that we would have the one submission. So on that note, I'm going to speak with my colleagues after that suggestion and see will we make that work. I will report back to the directors on that, and then we will decide the next course of action. This is a really, really important focus group. We have to identify the different areas, like the climate change, how that's affected the different shares and ratios of fish in the last number of years since the last. Food security is really high in the agenda. What happened from Brexit, where it went wrong for the Irish people, and how we lost so much. The environment, of course, has to be built into this, and the changes to the environment. Ergo, there should be a change. There's different fish moving into the grounds. We see bluefin tuna coming in, eating our fish. That has to be represented in the common fishery policy. Fleet activity. We see how important it is now to have the best sustainable fleets. There's no point in having boats steaming up from half of the continent to catch fish in our waters if the diesel and the oil and stuff that they're using is crazy. So we have to, as a European Union, manage our fleets better and our opportunities. Quota usage. We have to evaluate who has the quotas, who doesn't have the quotas. Can we get some of this fish back if it's not being utilised by other countries? So we have to be cognizant of the residents of Europe and the people in Europe and what they need and the food that they need. So we have to be cognizant of what was the historical nature of the way the fishing was, but at the same time, we cannot allow the common fishery policy to be set in such a manner that it's going to wipe out Ireland's fishing industry. And that's what I fear, is that we won't have a fishing industry. If changes come, we'll see what happened in the UK, where other countries will come in and swallow up our fleets, and we won't have a fishing industry. We won't have Irish-owned boats. They will be bought by outside interests, fishing in our waters, catching the fish in our waters, declaring it as their own. So all these issues have to be discussed and brought up with the common fishery policy, and we have to have a clear definition of the roles of the different participants within the group.